Well, I gotta say, it's coming along pretty nicely. Now, I did end up going with the dimension aspect, so execute in. There you go, you can see Runechant, Enchanter's Nexus. This was just a test run, right? But we won't spoil too much. Let's just head back over to the overworld, and we can get on with showing off some more features. Right, so I think we'll get a few of the little things out of the way. I probably won't do a functional side because everything we should go over today won't be anything new, right? It'll just use all the features we've gone over, so multi-blocks and drop crafting. But anyway, starting off, we'll jump to the physical art and we will look for this one. So rock crushing. By fixing an amethyst cluster to the underside of crying obsidian with another block as a platform underneath the amethyst, it should be sturdy enough to break rocks that collide with it, right? I was playing around with it before, making sure it worked. Let's start from scratch. Okay, so we want crying obsidian. And that is not a C. We want crying obsidian and we want amethyst. And we should get a bunch of advancements, right, for doing this. You won't because I haven't updated it yet, but we have all the different blocks that we can crush. So we look at the advancements now. We get, so crushing stone, granite, diorite, andesite, deep slate, calcite, tuff, gravel, netherrack, blackstone, basalt, and endstone. I was contemplating just unlocking them as you crush things. But in doing that, what's the true indicator of what blocks you can crush, right? If I just said rock blocks, would these be all the rocks you think up? Would there be some that aren't here? So I think it's just a little bit better, right? Once you have all the parts of the rock crusher, you have everything else. Now there is another step to the rock crusher that isn't here, unfortunately. We should be able to see it though once we set this up. Okay, so we want any sort of platform block, so it doesn't really matter. We'll go with our trusty lodestone since we use that in a lot of different ones. Right, and then it was amethyst on the underside of crying obsidian, like that. Now, we go ahead and grab our netherrack, because that was on the advancements, and we throw it at it, gets crushed. And as you can see, we got an iron nugget. That time we got nothing. Oh, that time we got redstone dust and nether quartz, but yeah, the amethyst shrunk or broke. So, how do you grow it back? Simple. Experience, which are not called experience bottles in this, right? They're called Bottle-O Enchanting for whatever reason, right? Despite the name being experience bottle. So if there is experience on top, ta-da, it grows back and you can go back to crushing. Now, once again, the higher luck you have, the higher chance that this won't actually break, but you can also just set up a mob farm on top, right? Delete the entities and restore the amethyst that way, or set up a big chain, right? There are tons of ways to also get bottles of experience just through some of the other functions of the pack. But I do need to add this advancement in, right? So it'll just be, I don't know, probably attach to this anyway, but I don't really want to mess up the threes, right? Because it could slot here, it could slot there. I could stick it on the back end of andesite so it continues. That's probably worthwhile, right? But then also there's no telling that andesite will be the middle block. Or I could stick it before it, I suppose? I don't know. I'll think about it. Right? But yeah, that is basically just rock crushing, a new way to harvest resources, right? So depending on what you break, I believe it details what they drop. So there you go. Endstone may yield gold nuggets, ender pearls, and / or glowstone dust. Iron nuggets, gold nuggets, or raw copper. Iron nuggets, raw gold, or coal. So they each have different drops, right? So there is some method to the madness on what, stone block you want to farm up and then you want to crush. And you can, have them spit out of a dispenser. You can run water through it if you want, right? Instead of this block being here. Well, can you still pass water through it? I suppose you just have to go water to this block and then have a drop or something like that. Anyway, new little harvesting farm, right? Crushing ore has always been a big thing in mods. I thought stone would be a little bit more interesting. Anyway, on to the next one. So we'll come back up here. No, we'll go back down here. There we go. Deep slate smelting. Throw a coal block and any ore or raw ingot into the center of a deep slate furnace. So we go ahead and grab ourselves a coal block. There we are. And any ore. So I guess we'll just do iron. And there should be some different amounts, right, of generation depending on what you use. So we'll go with a raw iron first. So raw iron plus that. God. No, perfect. We go into an empty slot. So that got us 4 iron, right? So 4 iron from, again, coal with normal iron. Then with ore, we get ourselves 3. Okay, so it's a bit better to break the ore than process it. Then from deep slate ore, though, we get 5. So deep slate ore is better than normal raw iron. And then lastly, we have a whole block of raw iron. That gets us 27. So that is by far the least amount of iron, right? 3 per. But at the same time, you can process it a lot quicker if you're, dumping a bunch of made blocks, especially with the new autocrafter, right? So if you just compress all the iron into blocks of raw iron, you can then just really power process it, have, I don't know, water. I think a dispenser should still work, right? It should still shoot through, and just have a way to automate this smelting. I think, or I hope at least, I haven't messed up with the walls. No, why don't we just test it? We'll grab out a dispenser. So we stick a dispenser here. What happens? Give me a button of any sort. Where's it go? Oh, if we're not near it. Okay. If we block it off, right? And the only way to go is through. No, that doesn't work either. It's just sort of stuck. Okay, maybe I get rid of the walls, right? And have it as a way to automate it. Although I do like the idea of having to manually do it. I'm sure there's ways to finagle it, even with maybe water, to get it to reach this block exactly. I don't know, go ahead, work it out, see if you can figure it out. Otherwise, yeah, just throwing them on normally. I don't think I have all the recipes, or the ratios, I should say. But maybe I should state that you can throw any type, right? What did I say? Any ore or raw ingredients into the center of a deep slate furnace. Yeah, I think that's not descriptive enough. So I need to write this down. I need to add in the experience for rock crushing. I need to add in the different, base blocks for deep slate smelting. So just a little info block here that says, raw ingots, raw, what's the correct phrasing to it though? Blocks of raw metals, deep slate or normal ore, and then some of the other crafting. Because I know you can do, I think it's sand. Yeah. So that gets you 4 glass per sand piece, right? Which is nice. Diamonds? Was there a way to do diamonds? I feel like it was a whole stack of coal and that. No. I think there's a way to do diamonds. Yeah, I'll look into it all. Okay, what's another little small thing we can get out of the way? Nothing else in this tab. Nothing in that tab. Nothing really in that tab, right? There has to be something. I suppose we can go dig out the pots now. Yeah. So we have a beating heart. Deep underground, a heart can be heard. Maybe it's worth finding. And you might have noticed all throughout, these different little testings, we've had messages pop up in chat saying that a new pot has spawned. So if we go into spectator mode, we should be able to find them, right? They should be somewhere below us, and we should see particles or something indicating where exactly they are. Perfect. And we have a ton, because obviously I've been in the one spot for a ton of time. So if we go into creative now, right, we have a bunch of different pots all giving off different particles. And there you go. The creeper has some effects, right? So he's been enchanted by one of these pots. Now, if you break the pots, so this is a red one, gives us a Heart of Affinity Nether, right? This is Snowflake, so it should be Glacial. This is Experience, so it should be Enchanted, right? And there are 12 different hearts, and as you can see, there are a few different advancements in a few different places that utilize them, right? So we have some here, and then we have some here as well. I will have to break up what their trigger is though. But yeah, so they enchant mobs and give mobs different abilities and buffs, right? I think it's a stat increase and then access to a few new abilities. And they should also pulse their own little effects if we see it now and then. Well, he's got 2. He's got the Snowflake and the Enchanted. But as you can see, lots of pots have spawned here, right? With all different varieties too. So if you just wait in one area, you can collect them all, right? And some of them are giving off particles. I think there's too many particles in the area for it to be showcased. But nonetheless, oh, there we go. We got poison off of this little spout. We got rabbit off of that nearby. Yeah, pots are definitely worth hunting, and they will be for something very powerful later on, right? Well, actually, 2 things very powerful. They're for spellcrafting and enchanting weapons. But we'll probably get to that in a later one, because that is far more complex. So that is the pots. If you've ever wondered what the message popping up in your chat is, right? Be careful exploring, because they will be dangerous. I do need to sort of prevent that amount of pots spawning in the one area, because the idea is basically what happens is as you wander about, right, a secret timer is counting up. Once it gets to a certain amount, it will look for the closest mob underneath you, X amount of blocks down, and then spawn a pot at that location. That way they're always underground. Well, I suppose if you fly up. No, it should always be underground, right? I'm pretty sure I set the Y, right? It's not a distance. And then those pots will linger there, right? And you have to go, you have to cave, you have to find them. There is a particle trail that they're meant to give off. But as you can see, because there were so many in the one area, they weren't all showing off their particles correctly. So I do need to limit, right? I can just test for the little marker and say if there's already one here, it won't spawn again. And that way you can't also just sit in one spot farming. You have to go find the pot before you can get a new one. Right, because we got a ton. And again, each of these can go to a spell book or a special weapon. So the fact that you can craft 4 of them straight away is a bit bad, right? So yeah, I will definitely have to balance that. Is there anything else quickly we can do before we get into the more complex stuff? Yes, okay, so we have, I wonder what's inside. Perhaps if a construct heavy enough were to stand on it. So we go ahead and get ourselves some sherds, right? Any sherds, doesn't matter. And we craft a pot. So I need a crafting table. And I need 4 sherds. That's the wrong thing to multiply. So we get ourselves a decorated pot using sherds. It's really important. It has to be with sherds. And there you go. We got a wonder what's inside. Beating heart. I feel like that's not meant to be the trigger. Right. So there's lots of advancements for me to look into. But yeah, so it says, perhaps if a construct heavy enough were to stand on it. Well, what could that mean? Well, when I think of construct, I think of iron golems. So if we stick a iron golem on top of it, brushes, and apparently he gets stuck in the wall. Oh, there we go, we got a drop. It's an entity though. It's not actually a drop. But they should finish him off and we should get some goodies from him. They should have a chance to drop some actual loot. I think it's dependent on the number of sherds you use, right? So if you mix it up, you have a higher chance of getting stuff. He's also not doing too great of a job. And they're all getting damaged by the seasonal effects. And he's apparently a water mob, right? Because he spawned in some water. Interesting. Let's break a few more. Let's craft a complex one, right? So I do want to make sure they drop loot. I do think, right, we're getting to the territory where I haven't tested it that much, right? So I will definitely need to do just that. But if we go with a mixed pot this time, of course you're too high. What are you getting stuck in, by the way? Just the wall? Yes, just the wall. Move. We'll try this side. It has to be on top of the pot, and it breaks. No, they're still not dropping items. They are spawning mobs every now and then, which is good, right? And there's different mobs depending on the sherd. We got skeleton. I assume one's a zombie, one's a husk, and then another skeleton off of it. They dropped ingots. They should also drop some other stuff. Sad. They overpowered the iron golem. I would be careful. These guys are not weak by any means. So yeah, don't take cracking pots lightly. They're all using their abilities. Oh, there's another volley. That's fine. We can just, you know, clear them all out nice and easy. Make sure we don't do us though. Done. Any of them drop anything? I think I had to tag them, right? I had to damage them for them to drop stuff. I will look into all that, right? But yeah, a little light one, if you will. Just some nice casual features. Anyway, I will update the advancements and some of the features, right? And make sure they are all fully functional. So we'll probably go over these a little bit more. And this is kind of a weird episode. Anyway, see ya.